hello, I don't know anyone. I am the horse girl. I was like, I don't know if I want to eat mole. Like, I don't know if I can do that to myself. Hello everybody and welcome back to my podcast, Esme's Country Life. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about my lunch with Instagram, wild squirrels, and my trip to Hoy's. But before we begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of the podcast, Redpost. Redpost is an equestrian and country store based in the UK, but they also ship all over the world, and we are coming up to clipping season. This is a warning. If your horse or pony needs to be clipped, you need to make sure that you have everything you need. If that's clippers, clipper blades that are actually sharp, your horse also needs to be clean, so cleaning products, and also hot oil for that post-clip pamper session. And you can get all of that at Redpost from redpostequestrian.co.uk. Anyway, let's begin. Let's start off with my trip to London, because I don't know, I feel like in the last year, London has become like my second home. I've been to London more than my home kind of town / home city, because I do live in the countryside, but there's like, you know, the local town that you would go to if you're meeting up with a friend for a coffee or that kind of thing. Like, yeah, London, that's just where I've been at recently. So I had my second solo trip to London ever, which for town people, you'll be like, Esme, why are you making such a big deal of this? But for somebody who doesn't really take public transport that much, because there is no public transport where I live in the middle of nowhere, it's a big deal. And I was so proud of myself because I got myself to London on my own. And then after that, I had to get 2 or 3 different trains to get to where I was going. So I managed to navigate it all on Google Maps. Is a great friend. It is. I don't know how people survive without it. So, or Apple Maps, depending on what sort of person you are. Which one am I? I think I might be an Apple Maps girl, actually. Anyway, it tells you what tube to go on, what train to go on. I went on the underground, I went on the overground. Anyway, I was so proud of myself because I managed to get to the event exactly on time. And for content creators or influencers, because this was like an influencer kind of like event, on time means 5 minutes before you're going to be late. So I asked my Instagram lady, I asked her, what time should I get there? And she said, arrive anytime between 12 and 12:30. So I thought, perfect. I want to get there at 12:25, because if you know me, I'm somebody that hates to be late. Most people probably got there after 12:30, but that was too much for me. I'm not a late person. I hate to be late. I'm that person who will arrive somewhere 5 to 10 minutes before I'm supposed to get there and sit in my car for 5 to 10 minutes waiting for everybody else to arrive and then arriving perfectly on time. Because being late, oh my gosh, nothing stresses me out more. I feel like an awful person, especially if somebody else is waiting for me. No, absolutely hate it. Cannot be me. Anyway, so I got there, I arrived, and a few people I actually knew there already from the Instagram kind of bake-off kind of thing, so that was nice. But they were all the other side of the room, or they were kind of chatting to other people, and I thought, okay, what am I going to do here? Am I going to butt into somebody's conversation and talk to them, or that kind of thing? So I was like, okay. So I arrived, and there was I was there for 30 seconds. I was handed over my coat, got given a little entry drink, that kind of thing. I was like, okay, who am I going to talk to? Who's going to be my victim? I feel it's the most horrible feeling walking into a room, not really knowing anyone, and then having to say hi, introduce yourself, and everybody is already talking to somebody else. So I always do the thing where I just go up to a friendly looking group of girls and I went, hi, my name's Esme. I don't really know anybody who's here yet. I just wanted to introduce myself and say hi. And they were like, oh, hi, lovely to meet you. They all introduced their names, and it sounds so scary. But girl, you just have to do it. You just have to do it. It's going to be awkward. You're going to feel rude interrupting somebody's conversation, but it looks better than just standing on your own like a socially awkward weirdo. So anyway, walked in, said hello to everyone, and then they were all talking about, so I actually ended up chatting first to all of the I haven't even told you what this was for. Okay, so let's backpedal a little bit before we talk about socially awkwardness, because I've gone straight into the deep end with that. So I have a Instagram partner manager, and because I'm one of the, I don't know, for some reason I'm on their hit list. They're like, this gal here, she's doing all right. We'll pop her on the list anyway. So I was invited. It was actually on World Mental Health Day, which was very cool. I was invited to their wellness lunch. So they had apparently I am a wellness creator, which is quite fun because most people that were there were either there for, they were all also wellness creators, but most of them were either foodies. So they were really into like nutrition, food, cooking, that kind of stuff on their pages. Or there were also a lot of athletes there, so people who do like at-home workouts, gym gal guy, that kind of thing, all about running, I don't know, fitness things. Or there was a few arty people there as well, which I was actually sat on the table with all of the art girls, so all the people that were into like painting and that kind of thing. So I was like talking to everyone, and they were basically expecting me to be like a lifestyle foodie or fitness content creator, and like I kind of introduced myself, like, oh, what sort of content do you make? Because that's kind of like the first question that most people ask you at this kind of thing. And I was there like, I do stuff about horses and country living. And whenever I say horses, back when I was at school, if you said that your hobby was horses, you would get made fun of, you would get bullied. They'd be like, oh, it's the horse girl, you're so weird, like that kind of stuff. But when you become an adult and you say that you ride horses, it is the coolest thing ever. Everyone wants to know like what your horse looks like. They want to know like how they got onto it. Everyone always has like a horse story that they tell you as well. So anyway, I was chatting to these girls and they were all the fitness girls. It was really interesting talking to them because one of them used to just do workout videos. Like that was all she did every day, went to the gym, that kind of thing. And it was really nice talking to how she kind of not elevated, I don't know if that's the right word, but kind of like changed, her content kind of adapted over time. So now she does like a lot of makeup and beauty and lifestyle kind of stuff, and was talking about all these like makeup brands and stuff that she was working with. So that was really cool and inspiring to hear about. And then there was lots of other kind of fitness people. Also, the other thing that I think surprised a lot of people when I was talking to them was me saying how long I'd been doing social media, because I started kind of regularly posting, I want to say 2016. 2017, it was like every single week on YouTube, definitely. Instagram, probably 2015, 2016, I was posting almost every day. But anyway, so I was talking to them and they were like, oh, like, how long have you been doing this? And I was like, oh, probably like 6-7 years. And they were like, excuse me? Because most of these content creators were people who were like kind of lockdown babies. I think that's what they called themselves. They're like, oh, it's a lockdown content creator baby. So they like basically started doing content creation in lockdown when a lot of people found they had a lot more time on their hands. So that was really interesting. And a lot of people were like, oh, wow, like, you do all that kind of stuff, because I was there feeling a little bit imposter syndrome, like I didn't deserve to be there. And there were a lot of people who on Instagram or TikTok had like a lot more followers than me. But when I was like, oh yeah, I'm almost at a million on YouTube, there was one girl that said to me, you have 1 million on YouTube. I was like, well, almost. And she was like, that's like having 10 million on Instagram. What on earth? And I was like, yeah, I've been doing this a little while. So that was really lovely to hear, because I was definitely like walked into this room where a lot of people already knew each other. Like all the fitness girlies knew all the other fitness girlies, and all the chefing dudes knew all the other chefing dudes. And I just walked in like, hello, I don't know anyone. I am the horse girl. So that was fun. But no, it was really nice chatting to them. And there was this one girl that I kind of stuck with, and then we ended up chatting to other people. And I haven't told you where this event is. So this event was at a place called Silo, which was actually very interesting. They did a little chat at the beginning about the restaurant and the place. So basically, they've designed this restaurant that includes like no food waste, or they wanted to design a restaurant without a bin, basically. So so there's like no food waste. So there was a lot of food that was in like purees and things that were like mashed up and that kind of thing. Oh my gosh, this was okay. So we were reading the menu because we were like, oh, like we'd been so excited about this like wellness meal that we'd been invited to, and we had no idea what sort of food we'd be eating or anything like that. And we were looking along the menu, and I was looking at all the different things. And one of my friends, Lucy, that you guys might have seen in the video once or twice, she is very foodie. Like, she is the foodie person of the group. If I ever go away or ever eat out at a restaurant and that kind of thing, you best believe I am spamming her with photos, because she always wants to see what I'm getting up to when it comes to food. Anyway, she's interested in other aspects of my life as well, just putting that out there. But anyway, so I was looking at this menu and I was reading it down, and for the main, it said mole, like M-O-L-E, and I was like, I was like, I was like, what is this? Like, I'm not going to be eating a little furry creature that lives underground and makes molehills. Like, I was talking to the other girl, and we were so stupid because we were like, well, maybe if it's, one of those places where it's like very eco, very trendy, that kind of thing, maybe it's like roadkill or something, or maybe it's like, I was like, surely not. Like, where do they? Is there like a mole farm? Like, they like, we were like proper giggling to ourselves about this. We're like, surely not, it can't be mole. And we did realize that there were a few people that were there that were actually vegan, so we were like, it's definitely not mole. Anyway, after a quick little Google search, we found out that mole, or it might be pronounced mole. Anyway, it means sauce. So we were just there looking at this menu. I was like, I don't know if I want to eat mole. Like, I don't know if I can do that to myself. Because we weren't like, before we went in, we weren't asked if we had any, or maybe they did ask and I just completely forgot about that. But I think it was one of those places where everything must have been like vegan, gluten-free, no nuts, that kind of thing, because I think it was one of those kind of places, so we didn't have to worry about eating mole. So, to be fair, I was a little bit poorly on that day. My brain wasn't quite working. We were just looking at each other like, is this mole? Because I couldn't think of any other food that would have been mole. Anyway, I have not eaten mole. I just want to clarify that. It meant a type of sauce. So anyway, that was quite funny. Anyway, this one girl that I was chatting with, we found out that we had so much in common. It was almost scary. So Belle, my Instagram partner lady, she like did like a seating plan, so I was put with all the art girls. There was one other girl that was supposed to be coming, and she was like did all like cottagecore kind of stuff, but unfortunately she was ill, so I might be able to meet her at the next one, which is also this week. So guys, I'm gonna have to keep you updated on all the influencer kind of goss and things that I've been invited to. Like, I feel like my social calendar's been so busy. I'm Mrs. Popular lately. That is me being sarcastic. Like, I'm definitely very imposter syndrome walking into these things. But anyway, so yeah, we were just chatting away and we found out we had so much in common, so much that we literally almost live in like the exact same area. So we ended up getting the train home. So I had a little buddy with me on my way back home. So that was really nice. But anyway, what other things? So yeah, so it was very aesthetic. That is one thing I have to say. There were all these beautiful flowers everywhere. Like, if you can imagine like an Instagram dinner, it was Instagram worthy. It was beautiful. They also had like this whole backdrop with all these like curtains and drapes and lights and that kind of thing, where they took professional photos of you, and also we did like a little gif. And I didn't know what to do for my little gif, so I did like a little blowing a kiss, because that's just like an easy kind of one to do that doesn't look too awkward. Also there, something that was very Instagram, very snazzy, very trendy at the moment actually, is they had a permanent bracelet kind of stand. So they got these people in that obviously do this all the time. And I've seen these a lot online, but I don't actually have any friends or know anybody that's ever got one before. So you went up to the little stand, you got to choose which bracelet you wanted. They had lots of really like pretty ones. I was really tempted to get the pink one because pink is one of my favourite colours, but I thought, I am one of those people where, you know me, I like to be matchy, and if I wasn't wearing any pink and I had a pink bracelet, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work with my outfit every single day. Like, with a permanent bracelet, you can't take it off. You gotta think about these things. So I just went for a very boring plain silver, but I'm a silver girly. I feel like people are either you're a gold person or a silver person. There are some people that mix the two together. I don't know how you sleep at night. Anyway, but I am a silver person. I don't know what it is. I think because I'm quite a cooled toned person, I just think silver looks better on me. Apparently, if you're warm toned, gold is supposed to look better on you. But also, I feel like, I don't know, personally, I am a silver person because, number one, it looks better on me. But number two, I feel like silver can look more classy, personally, because I don't have the money to be having everything decked out in like, or plated in actual gold, but silver is a little bit cheaper, and you can get things that are actually silver plated and do last a long time. So there we go. That's just my personal opinion. So I went for silver in the end because that matches all my jewelry. And then also you had to choose like if you wanted an oval or a circle little charm, and then I've got a little E on it, an E for Esme, because they were like, what letter do you want? And I was like, I'll just go for an E. That's nice and easy. There we go. So yeah, and then I was like, okay, how does this thing even work? I did watch somebody get theirs done before because I was a little bit freaked out because they literally like weld it while it's on you, and I was like, what on earth? How is this not like dangerous or that kind of thing? So basically, the lady just has this tiny little welding kind of needle. I don't know if that's the right term for it. And then she just went boop boop. That was a little zap, and then boom. I have now got a permanent bracelet welded onto me. So it's one of those things where I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not, because I sometimes find I can get a bit of a sensory overload when I have like too many pieces of jewelry on, or like especially with rings. I find that I can wear rings during the day, but you bet as soon as I get home, I am taking all of my rings off because it's just a bit too much sensory overload for me. Or it's like when you've been, I don't know what it is. When I'm out all day, I never get overstimulated by the clothing that I wear. But as soon as I get into my house, I am putting my pajamas on straight away. Even if it's like 5 p.m, like it's too early for pajamas, I'm putting my day pajamas on. But so far, I've been all right with it. It hasn't like annoyed me or overstimulated me too much. So that is all good. But I did think it's probably thin enough where my dad has probably got some sort of wire cutters or something that I can just cut it off. It's like, if it's really annoying me, bam, I can cut it off. But so far I've been liking it, so maybe I should try and keep it on for as long as possible and do like a little update on how long it lasts, because I'm like, is it going to be one of those things that just like randomly drops off after a while? Because I've had like proper high quality bracelets that I have worn like every day, just kept on, and it's broken because I am somebody who, as I said before, I'm quite clumsy. I will just walk into things or that kind of thing. Or so yeah, I'll give you an update on my permanent bracelet. We'll see how long it lasts. There was one girl there and she already had one, and I was like, oh wow, I'm late to the party. Everybody's on this kind of stuff. But anyway, so I got my little permanent bracelet, and then it was just a really lovely time. And all of the girls there, I don't know if it was because it was like a wellness kind of content creator kind of thing, that everyone just seemed to be really lovely. But also, Belle's really lovely, and she probably would have picked people that are really lovely to go to this thing. Also, one thing that was a little bit scary is we all had to do some public speaking, which Esme, like 5 years ago, would have absolutely like been petrified. Number one, Esme 5 years ago wouldn't have been able to get there on her own, let alone like go to an event not knowing anybody. I think I would have been like, oh no thank you, too scary for me. But we all had to do a little public speaking kind of thing. So we were given a piece of paper on our seat. Actually, I thought it was I did keep it in the end. Thought it was very snazzy that there was a little thing that said Esme Higgs, and then it had like the little Instagram logo on. Like there was a little like nameplate kind of badge thing, like this is where I'll be seating. So I did keep that for my scrapbook, because I was like, if this is the last, I was like, this might be the last Instagram thing that I ever get invited to, and I'm gonna keep this to prove that at one point in my life I deserved to sit at this table. Anyway, so it was a real mishmash of different questions of what some people got. So there was one person that was like, so they were like more of like a travel account. So their like question was like, what's your travel essential? And then there was like some questions that were really deep, and Belle had done such a good job of tailoring each question, or like each icebreaker, to each person and what their account was about and who they were as a person. Because I feel like sometimes you go to these sort of things and you just get like a random one. It's like, what's your favorite color? And there's only like so much you can talk about with these things, but everyone had a really good question. There was one girl and it was like, what's the thing that you're most proud of? And she like really opened up and almost started crying. I was like, oh my goodness. There were some people that just like answered it really quickly, like, oh yeah, my travel essential is this, and then sat down. So I was one of the last people to talk as well. So luckily it was kind of like a good thing, because I had a long time to think about, okay, how am I going to answer this question? But also it was nerve-wracking, because there were some people and they gave incredible speeches, and they like came home with some sort of quote that everyone could take home with them. Actually, one of my favorite speeches was a guy talking about how apple trees don't fruit all year round. You're going to have times where there's no harvest. You're going to have times where, it's winter, it's not great, but the harvest will come back round. your tree will fruit apples. And I thought that was a really lovely saying, because especially in like my kind of industry with content creation and that kind of thing, you can go through periods where you get more views or less views, or more brand deals or less brand deals, and sometimes you can be like, oh, am I doing something wrong, or that kind of thing. But sometimes it can be other things going on in the world that just means that you get less views or that kind of thing. So anyway, I thought that was a really lovely that was my favourite speech. Anyway, so my question was, what's your favourite thing about living in the countryside? Because I was the only kind of countryside, kind of outdoorsy person there. I was with all the city folk anyway. So I like introduced myself as like, so a lot of people did say like, hi, I'm bloody blah, I make this sort of content. So I was like, hi, I'm Esme, I make equestrian and country lifestyle content, so outdoorsy stuff and horses. Because some people, when you say equestrian, they're like, what is that? If they don't really know anything about horses. So I said that, and then my thing, maybe I should just do my speech rather than say what I said, because if I say it that way, it sounds a bit weird. So I'm just going to say what my speech was. So after doing that bit, I went, so I live in the countryside, and then I kind of said where I live, which I'm not going to say at the podcast because I don't want creepy people turning up at my house. But I was saying how I'm very lucky that I do live in the middle of nowhere and have the woods and have the sea and that kind of thing, but also is close enough to London that I can still visit it for cool things like this, and it's not too far away from me. But anyway, because most people said like a sort of quote or something that everyone could take home as like a little cool piece of information, I thought, I'm gonna tell everyone, because it was a wellness thing and it was for World Mental Health Day. I said how we all know that going outside and spending time in nature is so good for your mental health. But as we're going into the autumn and going into the winter, that's something that maybe doesn't seem as appealing, especially as it's cold and rainy here in England. So my quote that I wanted to share with you is actually from our friends in Iceland. And their quote is, "There's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing." So if you wrap up warm and wear the right stuff, you can get outside and have a good time. So that is my challenge for you this autumn winter, is to get outside and wear the right clothes. So that's what I did for my little chat. And I tell you what, my best advice for public speaking is to just be confident and pretend you're talking to a friend. If you talk slower and clearly, you sound more confident. It's the people that speak really quickly and really high pitch and just like, that's when it's like, okay, so if you just take a deep breath, take a gap, and always speak slower than you think, because you're naturally, if you're a little bit on edge, you're going to want to speak quickly. And I do know I speak quite quickly on the podcast, but some of you guys quite like that because, it keeps it upbeat, up pace. But with a speech, when everyone's sitting down, it's a calm environment. Always speak slower than you think. So there we go. That was my trip to Instagram. I have another trip to the actual Instagram headquarters, I think it is. It's been changed around a lot of the dates with this second kind of Instagram meetup. So it'll be lovely to see some of my friends that I made at the previous one. That is this week, so I'll keep you updated in the next podcast episode, because again, I don't know what it is. In the last kind of like week or two, I've been invited to lots of cool things. I don't know what's happened. Maybe someone's discovered me and I've been put somewhere on some magical list that I don't know about, but I'm very grateful to be invited to these kind of things, and it's something that younger Esme would never believe. Like, it's still very much like a pinch me moment, and yeah, very, very appreciate it. And just, it's one of those things that I know isn't going to last forever, so I'm just savouring every moment and appreciating every moment that I get to do really cool things like this. So anyway, after that, I thought I would talk to you about something else, because I feel like I've just been, the last kind of podcast episodes have all been very like, hey, I've been to this really cool influencer thing. So back at home on the farm, if you don't know this, my mum, she has a very special talent, and that is making all of the animals in the local vicinity overweight and obese. I'm not even joking. So whenever my parents go on holiday, the thing that my mum always tells me is, Esme, you must feed the birds and you must feed the animals. I'm like, okay, like obviously my own animals, don't worry, they are being fed very well. But like all of the wild animals also get fed. Whenever we have like friends around, they're always like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm living in Snow White. There's like ducks over here and pheasants and like everything turns up. But we have this is so bad. This is going back to the mole thing. You guys are going to think I'm just some sort of roadkill eater. But whenever we have friends around, my dad makes this joke, because we have so many squirrels that eat all the bird food. Whenever we have a friend over, it's so bad. My dad just says, oh, look, we've got a good squirrel harvest this year. I'm like, no, Dad, No, they're literally going to think that we eat the squirrels. We do not eat the squirrels. Anyway, so we have a lot of squirrels, and my mum was like, I would much prefer, because these squirrels, they are chunky. They're getting ready for winter. My mum was like, I'd much rather the food goes to the birds. So she did her little research, and she found this kind of like metal cage looking thing that you can put over the bird seed, so kind of birds can still kind of like wander in and eat it, especially small ones, but squirrels can't get in. So I didn't know about this. Do you know how I found out about it? I was in the kitchen having a little coffee break, having a little sit on the sofa, drinking my coffee, and I heard this screeching noise. Now, I don't know how to describe this noise to you other than it was the most distressed squirrel I have seen in my life. And it was like all these squirrels, it looked like something out of a cartoon. It looked like something out of, I can only think of like Over the Hedge. Was that like a film back in the day that I used to watch as a kid? It was honestly like that. There were probably about 5 or 6 squirrels, and they were all on this cage, like trying to shake it and move it and break through. And it was like this weird sort of like squirrel, I don't know, like they were just trying to take it over like some sort of army of squirrels. And I was like, what is going on? I thought I was actually a bit terrified to go out there. I thought I'm going to end up like Veruca Salt and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They're going to go for me if I try to they're going to knock me on the head, think I'm a nut or something. So anyway, I had no idea what this screeching noise was from. And then, I just saw all these squirrels, and they were moving so quickly, it was almost like a blur. And I was like, Mum, we're going to have to do something about the squirrel situation, because they are angry. I've never seen a squirrel so angry in my life. In the end, we did remove this sort of weird contraption, not because of the squirrels, but because my mum was like, oh, the pheasants won't be, and the ducks won't be able to eat the seed on the ground now because they're too big to fit in as well. So anyway, I've been keeping my mum updated on all the birds. Like when she goes to work, I'll send her pictures, because she loves the pheasants. We have this we don't obviously own the pheasants, but there's this pheasant family, and there were all these babies, and my mum's like, are there still like 6 babies? Are the babies still all there? Like my mum gets so worried that one's gonna like get eaten or taken away or that kind of thing. And it's now got to the stage where the babies, the ones that are boys, they are turning into boys, and they are starting to fight. And my mum's like, oh, they were so sweet a month ago, and now they're all fighting. So anyway, we have a squirrel army, we have this pheasant army. If there's ever an apocalypse at the end of the world, we're gonna be fine. We've got all these creatures around us. So anyway, there we go. I just thought I would tell you this squirrel story, because also, if the food bowl of seed and stuff or peanuts runs out, these squirrels are sassy. I'm like, who is this diva? Because this squirrel will come up to the window and they'll bang on the window. Honestly, I'm actually a bit terrified that, I don't know, maybe they've been possessed or something. How these squirrels are clever. They're going to take over the world. So if there's ever a squirrel apocalypse, you know where it started. It started because of my mum overfeeding them. Next up, I thought I would talk to you about my adventures at the Horse of the Year show, because that's what I was up to last weekend. And I came to the realisation the other day that I have been to every Horse of the Year show since 2017. 2017 was the first year, I think, it was, because I was in my first year of A-levels, and I just started working at a vet's practice at that point. And I remember, because I started A-levels with 10,000 subscribers, and I think I probably had about 30 or 40 by the time that Hoy's rolled around, which was wild. So and that was my first proper organised meet and greet. I think I did one at Burley with Pony Magazine or Horse and Rider Magazine, but this was the first proper one, and I was like, oh my goodness, I had never seen that many people in my life, and I was like, wow. But it was very lovely, and you're all very lovely and things, but that was the first time where I was like, okay, wow, okay, I've never done this sort of big meet and greet, that kind of thing. So anyway, no, sorry, back to the actual time of me going this time. But yeah, that was my little Hoys history for you all. It's definitely like a little tradition that I go to. So the night before, actually, it was really nice. We stayed at my brother's apartment. So we had a little catch up with him. That was really lovely. And then it was time for Hoys. And Hoys, I actually have a story from Hoys in the past. I don't know if I've ever told this before. It's quite bad. So there's, depending on the horse show, there are lots of different ways that we try and organise meet and greets to make it best for you guys. Now, I'm pretty sure this was just after the pandemic, or maybe it was the first Hoys after the pandemic. And we thought, okay, we want this to be safe. We want to know how many people are going to be there. How about we do a thing where you go to the pony mag stand, you sign up for a wristband, and then you have an allocated time slot to know how many people are going to come, what time they're going to be there. It's not going to cause like huge big queues. Everyone can stay like a little bit more socially distanced. We thought, perfect, this is a great thing. They can just go to the pony mag stand, pick up a wristband, and then come back when it's their allocated time. What we didn't realise is that everyone would go to the pony mag stand first thing as soon as they kind of put the barriers up to let you into the shopping area. Actually, people arrived before the barriers were up for the shopping area. Apparently, there was such a big group of people, and they were all on this fire door, and they were pressed up against this fire door that they broke the fire door open. And it was like this Armageddon of all these people rushing to the horse and rider and pony mag stand to get their wristband for the meet and greet. And when they were telling me the story, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should be terrified or not. One thing that I did find, as soon as like COVID stopped being a thing and we could do meet and greets again, they were probably the most chaotic meet and greets that I have ever done, just because there were shows that I was working for that I'd never worked for before, and they would always underestimate how many people would turn up. Also, I think people had been shut inside for so long, and some people had never met me before, or were like just so excited to meet me that it was just a little bit mental. Now, this time around, it was probably one of the best organised meet and greets that I've ever done, where everyone like booked their tickets online. It was a free ticket. It was just to make sure that you had an allocated time slot, and then everyone came at the allocated time slot. They were in like 15-minute intervals, so nobody was probably waiting more than 15 minutes unless you got in the queue early, which some people do that, but everyone was really lovely. I had like actual breaks, which is one thing that my physio is like, Esme, I will be so angry at you if you don't have breaks in between your meet and greets, because as you guys know, I get really bad jaw pain and I get really bad back pain as well if I'm doing meet and greets for too long, and also arm pain from all the signing. So I've been medically advised that I do need to have breaks in between. So it was really lovely. I had 1 hour on, 1 hour off, 1 hour on, 1 hour off, and I think about 3 hours of meet and greets is probably my maximum for me, like in a day, which doesn't sound like a lot. You think, oh, it's only like 3 hours of chatting to people. What do you mean? But when I see people, I want to make sure that they have the best experience ever. Like when I'm talking to them and that kind of thing, I want to be able to sign as many stuff as I want to. I want to be able to answer all of their questions. And once you've talked to a lot of people and you're actively listening and taking it in, chatting back to them, it's exhausting. And I always say, when I'm doing my meet and greets, I bounce off everyone's energy. But as soon as I'm done, like, I am ready to sleep. I'm ready for a nap. Like, I do find I am an introvert, so there we go. But no, all of you at Hoys was so lovely. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that came, and I'm really, really sorry also to the people that weren't able to get tickets, because they did sell out really, really quickly. So yeah, but I'm doing more meet and greets. I am literally doing a meet and greet every other weekend all the way up to Christmas. So there we go. There are plenty more opportunities. But yes, hopefully see you at future events and horse shows and that kind of thing. But yeah, that was my Hoys experience. I got there very early, went into the shopping area, did all the stuff with the sponsors. I actually got to watch quite a bit of the show, which was nice this year, like in my breaks in between meet and greets. So my favourite thing to watch every year, Pony Club Games. I used to be a games girl on Mickey. Believe it or not, we were definitely slow and steady wins the race, but I used to love doing Pony Club games. I think it's because a lot of horse shows I go to, a lot of the time I'm watching show jumping. So to be able to watch something a little bit different, especially as at Hoy's, they have some really cool, like interesting games that you don't normally see at other places, would recommend. So there we go. On that note, I think I'm going to finish off today's podcast episode here, because I definitely have been rambling and chatting away for way too long. But anyway, I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Keep your eyes out for next week's episode, where I have another Instagram day, and I'm sure I'll have more stories of me being silly. Hopefully no moles will be consumed in the next episode. No moles were consumed at all. I just want to make that clear. I have never eaten mole. Anyway, on that note, I'll finish it there. Thank you, Red Post, for sponsoring the podcast, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!